Welcome to Balkan. Now Hetti will take us on a security safari. Thank you.
So, hello everybody. I like fancy slides, so let's see. I'm Hetti, I'm from Vienna, and I will show you my talk about security safari in Balkanland. First disclaimer, this talk is still not about the Safari browser from Apple, because people ask me about Safari browser and I say nope. Let's start. So there are a lot of security terms out there, and let's make some introduction for people who don't know everything of that. There is CV. So CV is common vulnerabilities and exposures. It's a format for tagging security problems. That's an example CV. And the normal thing is like CV, then the year where it's like disclosed, and then a number. Does somebody maybe know which CV this is? This CV is from last year, the WannaCry exploit, what WannaCry used. It's the Samba 0-day that the NSA used. That's the CV for that one. Then there is Cvss. It's common vulnerability scoring system. It's a system to score the impact of the bug. It's scored from 0 to 10. So 0 is like no really big impact, and 10 is like just shut this fucking system off and don't turn it on until we fix the bug. It's based on a formula with different metrics, and it's a free and open industry standard. Then RC is a remote code execution. So you execute on a remote target your own code program you want to execute. Then there is command injection. So inject own controlled commands or inputs into one system. There are, for example, some website interface for like pinging in routers. When they have like bad implementation, you can like just inject some bash commands and they will just get executed, and you bypass the just ping command. Then there exists out bypass. It's authentication bypass. So you bypass some authentication like some login. Maybe you don't need login credentials. You just need some special case that you can log in without credentials, or you just need to know the username and you can bypass the password. That's out bypass. Then there is DOS, denial of service. That's making a system unavailable for temporary or permanently. So it depends on the impact of the bug. Also very important is POC, proof of concept. It's like a written code that like shows the people that you encountered a bug and you exploited it. Normally you use a calculator, you pop a calculator for it. Like this one, oh well, normally you don't pop the bash calculator, you pop the normal one, and show the people that you like used remote code execution while popping the calculator. Then there is Backdoor. Backdoor is a built-in method to bypass authentication or encryption of a system. And let's start with the first thing, Cisco Backdoors. So Cisco is a big network equipment vendor. Has like a long backdoor history. There are quite some backdoors found in their systems. There is a positive thing. They have internal auditing, and they're doing internal auditing to find these bugs and want to fix it. That's a positive thing. And they are very creative in finding synonyms for their backdoors. Let's have some examples. There is like undocumented user account with privilege level 15. It's like, I don't know, that's an interesting example, interesting name for a backdoor. Then there is also undocumented static user credentials for a default administrative account. It's also quite okay. And I really like the undocumented test interface. It was some backdoor where you just connected to a port and you got like root access to it, to the router. Let's go to the next backdoor, the Tenda AC15. It's a Ethernet Wi-Fi router, and well, there are 3 easy steps to get root access on this router. So first of all, you go to the root page and request /goform/telnet. And you'll start a telnet server on the Wi-Fi router. Then you can choose out of 3 accounts that are default in the system have root access. You can choose from admin, user, and support account, and all have root access. And then, yeah, you need like to just connect and get the password to log in. So what do you think is the password of this account? You have some guesses? 1, 2, 3. Well, close. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, and then you log in and profit. So the night is called. They want the passwords back. The next thing is this meme. Do someone maybe know which application I mean with that? You have idea?
Electron?
Yeah, it's Electron. So Electron RC was discovered 2018. Electron is a framework for cross-platform apps. So you implement an app in Electron. It's like a Chrome browser, and you can run it on multiple platforms. So just one time implementing, and then you can run it on multiple operating systems. A lot of apps are based on Electron, like Signal client, Wire client, Slack client, and so on. And via node integration variable via XSS. XSS is a cross-site scripting. It's also some attack method. You could like re-enable some variable, and then you were allowed to execute system commands on the system via the Electron app. So you just need to find one bug in this Electron framework, and you can attack multiple apps with it. So that's like one vulnerability of this whole system. Then you probably play games. I do, and so use Steam for that. And in Steam there was, for 10 years, a remote code execution in a client. So it was triggered by a malformed UDP packet. So it was enough to trigger the exploit. There is extensive write-up on this web page here. And the good thing is the Steam team patched it 8 hours after they got the info that there was this bug in there. So they were quite fast to fix it. Let's go on with Fight Club. So do you know in which year Fight Club was released? It was 1999, so blast from the past. And let's see what happened in 1999. 1999, there was Netscape out there. Maybe some people remember. And Netscape had Enterprise Server and Netscape Fast Track Server as a software. And there was a remote attack in the servers via HTTP basic authentication. And you could like gain privileges on the system with this remote attack. And it was CV 1999-0853. And well, Dan, do you know what this is? Well, Back to the Future. HPI ILO4 out bypass plus remote code execution. HP ILO4 is a remote code, remote command interface for servers, HP servers. So it's like an extra card, and you can manage remotely your servers with that. And so it's a remote management console for servers. And they found authentication bypass, and therefore also a remote code execution with this. It was found by the Airbus research team. So Airbus has a research team. And there was like 5 man-months invested into the research to find the stuff. The CV is from 2017, but it got to broad public in 2018 when they represented their research on a big conference. And let's see how this authentication bypass worked. So he uses curl to get the website for the administration, and he got the 401 authorization unauthorized. Then he uses this great Python tool to print 29 times A. Then he makes the same request and adds a header with connection, and then he just copy-pastes the 29 times A. And then he's connected. He has full administration rights. So that's the exploit. That's the bypass. So it's in the end like quite easy. So everyone could do it if you had access to this web interface. Let's see. 1999 equals 2018, 2017. So the thing is that it was a buffer overflow in both cases that triggered this exploit. And so you see that 19 years ago or 18 years ago, the same bug affected both softwares. And so people still make these mistakes even like nearly 20 years later. And that's like one problem of IT security, that still people may make mistakes that even happened like 20 years ago. Let's check out NPM, the Node Packet Manager. So Node Packet Manager version 5.7.0. It was a release, and so in the end it fucked up all the permissions on your system. If you run the packet manager with sudo rights, it changed permissions recursively on folders with the, I think with a user that used sudo. And the problem was it was a pre-release and it wasn't properly tagged as pre-release. They made a blog announcement with that's this version, and even in the blog announcement they didn't say that this is a pre-release. So it wasn't really easy to see. And if you did like an update, you just got this pre-release, and then people they started sudo, and everything was like, well, I need to fix my system. And that's the CVE down there. And there is also a whole GitHub issue about this. And I picked 2 comments out of it to show you what what happened there. So, well, the one guy said this destroyed 3 production servers after a single deploy. It's really sad because you need like re-roll everything and redeploy everything. And the second thing was the comment to this comment was, why are you using a pre-release version in production? Just asking. But the problem was, as said before, it wasn't tagged as pre-release, so people didn't know that it's a pre-release. And it's a quite interesting it's a quite interesting GitHub issue thread. Let's go with Netwave IP camera, denial of service. So Netwave IP camera, so who has a friend that has some IoT stuff at home? You for sure know some people. Oh, yeah. So that's an IP camera in the network or available over internet, and it's really easy to crash this camera. Just send a post request to the camera with a huge body size to the camera and just crashes. So easy denial of service, and there is a proof of concept on GitHub that you can test it on the camera of your friend if he allows it to you. And yeah, you see IoT stuff still broken in 2018. We'll see, maybe next year it's better, I hope so. Well, some people asked, and yeah, hello, can I have a live demo? Okay, Patrick, you will get the live demo. So I bring you some live demo also. Let's see. So I have here my Ubuntu system, and I have a VirtualBox here. And I start my VirtualBox. Oh, just a second. So it's the VirtualBox is a Debian server, Debian 9, so it's quite new. So it's one of my test VMs. I set up a mail server for learning how to set up a mail server. So sorry for the username when you see it. Well, so this is my great mail server, and yeah, it needs a little bit, it's like VirtualBox, it's virtualized. So let's go into the internet like every day. and you search for some pictures, and then you find some great web pages that offer you cat pictures. So you found this great web page. It offers you super sweet cat pics, and you say, I need this for my background. Okay, let's download it. Okay, let's save it. Okay, let's open it to see how good it looks. Oh. Well, what happened? What the fuck? So, I don't know what happened, but I have all the calculators on my desktop, and my Firefox also away. Well, let's kill them. Let's check the monitor. All the calculators. Okay, there's a cool command in Linux, kill all. Very handy. Okay, maybe it was a bug in my system, let's try it again. Okay, downloads. Hello? What the fuck? All right, so let's see what happened. So the thing that I just showed you was the Ghost script RC. So Ghost script is a tool to for image manipulation and parsing PostScript and so on. And there were some bugs 2 years ago, and they fixed them, but they overseen some bugs that got to this exploit. And so the problem was that Ghost script parsed some PostScript code, and that led to command execution. And it was found by Tavis Ormandy, so it's one of the well-known Google researchers, maybe some of you know him. And there's a link to a mailing list for discussion, and there was also multiple CVs assigned to it. And I can show you the code. Можешь ставить на другую. So I just showed the slide. So Ghost script, I said, so there was for this exploit was overseen in the patch. So 2 years later, they discovered, oh, there's still some left to exploit. Let's check it out. So let's check out the exploit here. Okay, let's kill again the calculators. I just only need one for calculating. So here it's a PostScript file, and it got parsed it's a PostScript file and got parsed by Ghost script. And yeah, here's my remote code execution. So I call bin bash with -c for command, and I kill the Firefox, I kill the Nautilus, I delete the thumbnail cache, because if I don't delete it, it don't work again. But if I delete it, I can just trigger it again when I open the download file. Then I iterate from 0 to 100 and open 100 xcalcs, and then I'm done. And I have the 100 xcalcs on my screen. That is the file. So even if you're funny, you can also trigger it over a command line with identify. It's a tool that also uses Ghost script. Let's identify the cat picture. Yeah, it just pops again. In this case, 2 times this exploit. And yeah, my virtual machine is not responsible anymore. Yeah, even more calculators. Maybe I can calculate faster now. Fuck. Yeah, it's a virtual machine. It's not so fast like on a host system. Okay, now it's well responded. Well, let's go on. So, blockchain. You didn't hear from me about blockchain until now. Go to PassJP like 1 hour before with the top 10 security disasters. I hope you were there, because in the schedule before it was in the evening, so it was like a good thing to say, hey, let's go in the evening there and check it out. But it was like 1 hour before. But there's even better stuff. Exploit chain. So let's go back to my demo. Oh wait. So we need to pray to the demo gods now a little bit. So do someone have maybe a spare laptop to sacrifice? A MacBook is really good for that. Okay, I will try. Just pray for it and it will work, hopefully. So we open again our great Firefox, and we just realized that the first picture don't works, but they have a super fancy 4K resolution cat picture that should be really great. Let's try it out. Okay, let's save it. So. What the fuck? Okay, let's see. So I have a root shell here. ls, yeah, ID, root, who am I? Root, Milky Way. Okay, let's see first. Let's check my Ubuntu. What is it? Terminal. Oh, it's my host system. So, where am I? Root, yeah. Let's check out IP address. So, yeah, you see, it's the same IP address, it's the same box. So it's a root shell on my host system. We'll just check out the host name. Yeah, you see already Milky Way. Let's go back into my VirtualBox. So it's like host name, well, obviously. ID, yeah. Who am I? So obviously I just somehow got the root shell on my host system, but I was in a virtual machine. So let's go back to the presentation. So what the fuck just happened? Let's make a small recap. So I was downloading 4K cat pictures, opening Nautilus, then I triggered the Go script remote code execution, then I just used the Virtualbox Escape exploit to escape to the host system, and then I also did a root on the host system with dirty car. So that was now the exploit chain that I just showed you. Let's trigger it again. So it opens here my terminal with the waiting for the remote reverse shell. So that's my host system. So let's see. Host name Milky Way of the host. Yeah, my username Hetti. Running VMs on the host system. VMs in a list. And yeah, the running VMs is the pwned mail VM that I'm running in there. So then getting root, display variable exported, path, exploiting, yeah. And then I just got this fancy root shell here. Let's check it out, what I just did here more interestingly. Oh wait. Yeah, I need a terminal for that. Yeah, again the exploit with kill all Nautilus, delete the cache, and then I execute my self-written exploit chain shell script. Let's check out the exploit chain shell script. No, we won't open it with writer. Yeah, let's get this great text editor. It's better than Vim and Emacs. So that's the called script with the and so I start another GNOME terminal with my exploit Python file. Then there is a clone and pwn section, so you can clone it to temporary folder and compile it and just run it the exploit. And there is then yeah, the exploits you just run. I really prepared it already. So let's check out the exploit py file. So yeah, I use pwn tools for the reverse shell server, and yeah, I sent then the who am I and ID, and I also sent the filebox manage list VMs and so on. And yeah, then I used the dirty cow exploit. I just run it and also called a cow save if man that point was easy. And then I just get the whole root shell on the host system with root access. Let's go back to the slides. So the setup. So my host system was Ubuntu 16.4.4. It was unpatched. I just installed it and didn't patch it. Then I had this specific Virtualbox version, 5.2.6. And the guest system was a Debian 9 with GUI. And it was somewhat patched. Like you see, the GoScript RC was still possible. So the guest user of Debian had sudo rights with no password option. So you can just use sudo. And yeah, my self-written Python code and Bash code, and I also modified the proof of concepts. So the thing is, the Virtualbox Escape proof of concept just tested it on a Ubuntu server without graphic user interface, and even blacklisted the graphic driver. And I tried it with the graphic user interface, and it worked, with sometimes crashing the VM, but in the end it worked that I could escape the virtual machine. Let's check out the Virtualbox Vm Escape. So the virtual RAM was used for this exploit. So that's a shared video buffer between host and guest system. And in the end, there was the shellcode in the virtual RAM buffer, and it got executed by the host system, and it was a reverse shell. It's also connecting to a reverse shell exploit code. There's the CVE. There's an excellent write-up by the proof of concept author, and he also helped me with some of the questions I had. Then for the dirty cow, yeah, homework for the audience. So hint, here's the CV number. You can check it out yourself. It's already old, so we are already in year 2018. Yeah, that was my live demo. Let's carry on with hardware security. So we also have software, we have also hardware. And let's start with Meltdown Inspector. So a lot of you heard about it. It leads to extraction of sensible data. It's like a design fault in modern CPU architecture. And it's like a hardware bug. Well, it was like a feature, the speculative execution. The idea was like to already calculate stuff you might use in the future, and if you don't use it, just throw it away. But with this feature, you could extract sensible data out of the CPU. There were software fixes, but they lead to performance loss, like significant performance loss that companies really saw, well, that really affects our software and needs much, much longer than we already need. And yeah, software fixes. Let's check some Meltdown Patch out. So, Meltdown Patch by Microsoft for Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008. So PLM4 page tables are like some master page tables in the system, which should only be accessible by the kernel. And well, their patch made that everyone could access these page tables and modify them. So in the end, you had like full access over the computer. And yeah, lol. So you could just write the software and just modify the page table you like want to have in your memory, and you just could do everything you want on the system. And it was like a patch. I mean, they fixed it again later, but yeah, that was a great patch. Like, yeah, Windows 7, I get PML page tables, you get PML4 page tables, everyone gets PML4 page tables. Let's check out BMW. They have a telematics control unit. So it is in BMW vehicles from 2012 to 2018. It's a remote attack. And it led to execution of arbitrary, unauthorized diagnostic requests over the CAN bus, stuff you don't want to have in your car while you're driving. And there's the CV. They're still like working together with BMW, and I think they will release more information next year. So in the CV thing, you will see more information and what they want to release later. Well, let's check out more of this IoT hardware stuff. Locks. So everyone has a lock, but what if you have a great smart lock with fingerprint reader? Well, it's cool, but if you have a screw on your lock, then it's maybe not cool, because then people just open it and the lock is like useless. And I really like this money quote from the vendor, like, the lock is invincible to the people who do not have a screwdriver. I mean, I have a screwdriver with me. Let's check it out. Ah, yeah, it's really handy. You can use it for every day. So I could like open it. And well, nice idea, but you failed in implementation of this hardware device. Let's check out the next interesting thing. Well, let's combine some words. Now there's a little bit of blockchain in there, but just a little bit. So mining rigs, data centers, Iceland, and 600. So if you combine this, you get this. So people managed to steal 600 powerful mining rigs out of a data center in Iceland. Iceland is an island with water around it, and they don't know where the mining rigs are. They just disappeared, 600 of them. You can't make the story up. Well, it's already like facepalm how they could like steal stuff out of a data center. In my opinion, data center should be secure, and you shouldn't just go in and get some mining rigs out there or servers. But it happened in Iceland. But there is some bonus for this story. Yeah, so they also catched a suspect for this case, and they put it in jail to check it out if everything's fine and to speak with him. and then this happened. Yeah. The suspect escaped out of a window of the jail and fled Iceland by a plane to Sweden, where the Prime Minister of Iceland was on the plane. Like, how? Yeah, you can't make this story up, especially this one. Like, first steal secret mining rigs, and then you get the person, and then the person just flees with a plane out of Iceland. Another interesting thing is sound plus hard disks leads to death. So there was in Sweden a data center which has a gas-based fire suppression system, like that if fire starts, that you kill the fire. And it works by releasing gas into the server in the data center room, and then the fire just get killed. And the problem was that this by releasing the gas with a really high speed, it made a really loud noise. And well, the problem was that this caused vibrations in the hard disks, and then the hard disk got destroyed. And the fun thing is, there were not enough servers in Sweden to fix the problem, because Nasdaq was affected. Nasdaq is a big stock market company. So downtimes at stock market is not so good, I heard, for money. And so Nasdaq was not operational there. So it affected markets included Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Iceland, and the three Baltic states. So as said, there are not enough servers in Sweden. They had to import servers from other countries. And it was for 5 hours not operational, the whole data center. And also one side note, this gas-based fire suppression system was triggered by accident. There was no fire in there. So like, well, interesting side note, there is this video shouting at a data center. There are some Romanian guys which are in a data center in Romania, and they have a big rack with hard disks. And they have a laptop with monitoring, and they monitor the hard disks. And then one of the technicians goes to the rack with the hard disk and just screams at the hard disks. And you see on the monitoring system that the load gets up, and it's really bad, the load of the I/O of the hard disks. It's really fun to see. So if you have time, check the video out. So you see, if you scream at hard disks, you can also destroy them. So probably next time, then not only steal the mining rigs, maybe they also scream at the hard disks for fun and profit and go away. So there is a really interesting question I asked myself. Why should I care about all this that I told here now to people? And I think the key point is that security problems affect us all in some way. Like my friend that has this IoT camera that just get DDoSed, or my mother which used the Nautilus with Firefox and got the remote code execution by GhostScript probably. So in the end, as said, IT security affects every one of us, and my important thing to tell you all is that we should work on to make the world a safer place. And I'm doing that all day long if I have time for that after university. And if you're interested in all this security stuff, get some popcorn, take your time. It's really fun to read all these CVs. It's very interesting. There's CVs for some Minecraft servers, if you like Minecraft, or Outlook remote execution, where you just get the mail and you just got remote execution on your computer with Outlook, also cool. And that's one of the websites where I have a database for that, cvdetails.com. And yeah, if you have Flash still installed, just deinstall it. It's really important. Or if you like remote execution on your computer, feel free, use it again. And that was my talk. Are there questions? No questions, really? Ah, there's a question. Wait for the microphone.
And also scream very loud, not just at hard drive.
It's not healthy for persons sometimes. So maybe we should try to turn it off and on again. Sometimes it works. I mean, you can tell me the question, I will repeat it.
You will do better. You have two microphones.
Ah.
And one of them is now mine.
Is this a remote code execution?
I don't know. I had to come to your door, so. So my question is, in the time that you've been doing security research or exploit research, do you have an idea of what the typical response time of fixes is nowadays? Is it better than when you started? And with the added interest in security flaws, there's a lot more being found. But do you have an idea of whether or not the new frameworks that we started to make after all the buffer overflows and the typical issues came to light, have they become better, or are we just making more bugs faster?
That's a good question. So I didn't do research about the response time of vendors, about disclosure of bugs. It depends on the vendor. There are vendors which say that they even don't even reply for bug reports. There are vendors which really are good and replies and really fix them fast. There are also really shitty vendors which tell the people they will sue them, and it's really shitty because people want to help out and say, hey, you have a bug there and please fix it. And normally people are not malicious that they want to harm you as a vendor. It's an interesting question, and I think that with these new frameworks, there's stuff getting better because people care about security these times more. There are also programming languages like Rust that enforce security by don't allow you to have uninitialized variables and so on. And I think it's a way to a better world, but there are still also a lot of historical systems out there which are really hard to replace. And I would say it's still a hassle, but people are working on it, and it's not hard. It's really hard. You can't change it from today to tomorrow. Are there other questions out there? So also to this, nowadays we also have enforce. We see more security problems out there, and there is also a question: do people just make more bugs, or are the tools so good that we just find the stuff? And I think it's both. People do the same mistakes from 20 years ago, but there are also the new tools that people didn't have 20 years ago, like fuzzing tools, which are really cool. And with that, more bugs appear because the people can use the tools to find them. So I think we still need to teach people how to write secure code, and also to tell them that security is very important. I still think that a lot of people in industry still are not aware about security until something happens to them, and then it's too late. So also props go out to family and friends. All the folks that are working towards making the world a safer place. Reno Robert, he's the guy who wrote the VirtualBox proof of concept and gave me some support for some questions. G. Bonacci, who did the Dirty Cow POC. Tevis Ormandi for the GoScript POC. I can also tell a bit about my exploit chain tragedy, like starting there with my Arch Linux, trying to exploit this. And I first started, well, I have this newer VirtualBox system. Let's try to have two parallel VirtualBox systems with two different versions. It's nearly impossible. I thought, well, let's put it into Docker, but no, it's not working. Then I said, okay, let's just deinstall my newer version, install the older one, and try it. Didn't work. And in the end, if I did some development, because there's some pointer that you need to align to the specific system, then it probably should work. Then I contacted Reno about the proof of concept and asked him about the specs, because he just said it's this on his blog posts. It's really interesting, a lot of the details. But he just said that he used like Ubuntu host and Ubuntu with GUI as host and Ubuntu server as GUI as without GUI as guest, and he blacklisted video driver. But he didn't told which exact version of Ubuntu, and so I started to try around, and then I asked him, and he told me this version of Ubuntu for both systems. Then I tried out and it worked. Great, let's check it on. Then I saw, well, there's this GoScript RC. It would be really fancy to show people how to make this great exploit chain that I showed to you. Let's try probably on a virtual machine with graphical user interface like Debian. Then I started to test it, and it also worked. And today the demo gods were really kind to me because it worked out of the box. But sometimes I really had that I just started exploit and just the whole box crashed, like 2 times in a row. So that was my luck today. I will release my exploit scripts and a small write-up about this on GitHub later this year. If you have questions to the exploit or you want to see it again in more detail or want to ask some questions, you can come by. I will be here around the whole time until Sunday. And thank you very much. Stay safe and patch your systems. Because every exploit I used there wouldn't work if I would have patched my systems. Because Dirty Cow was like 2 years ago, not working. The Debian was also patched, the GoScript exploit, and the VirtualBox too. So if I had a VirtualBox version, the latest, if I had like updated Ubuntu and the Debian with GoScript, everything of this wouldn't work. So it was really prepared for the demo. Yeah, if you want to contact me, I have Matrix, Mastodon, there's my GitHub. You can reach me on Twitter, it's also here a mail. But yeah, also come by and speak with me. I'm glad to share with you my knowledge and my proof of concepts. Thank you very much.